Keep going. Okay.
I was thinking right there.
Oh, right here.
Do you guys want to read it, or you want me to read it out loud, or?
Why don't you read it out loud so people know what's going on?
Okay, this starts off Monday, September 2nd, 2019. I am filing a complaint against the Camas Prairie Winery in the city of Bovill due to a recent incident which occurred on Sunday, September 1st, 2019, around 6 p.m. Sunday was the anniversary of my stepson's death, which is always a hard time for our family. My wife and her girls try to get together every year at the same time. We planned to meet at the potluck at the Elk Saloon. When we arrived, Christy, my stepdaughter, wasn't there and wasn't answering her phone. I offered to walk to Christy's and check on her and get a ride back. When I got there, I found her boyfriend had made a surprise visit and they were going to Deary. I started to walk back to the Elk Saloon. When I reached the main street, I continued to walk using the city sidewalk. As I neared the winery, I struck a conversation with a friend of mine, Mike McCann, which lasted 10 minutes or so. When I finished talking, I continued toward the Elk Saloon, and as the winery has tables, chairs, signs on the sidewalk, I was forced to walk between all of them, never saying a word to anybody, minding my own business. After getting past the winery, but not yet to the post office, Jeremy Ritter came up behind me and said he wanted to talk. I stopped and he asked me if I was walking on the sidewalk to harass him or if I had someplace to go. I said it was a free country and sidewalks were public, and had an argument, and an argument followed during which people sitting at the table yelled F words, and Rex Cromer's wife, Pam, who was swearing the loudest and the worst, told me to leave because I didn't live in town, etc. I told Jeremy that a lot of people didn't want to walk this way anymore because they didn't want to contend with the drinking customers, especially one as out of control as her. At that point, Rex Cromer also got up and told me to get out. Actually, he said, I think I should leave. He is a city council person and is supposed to be unbiased and fair. Obviously not. My complaint. No one should be questioned as to why they are walking anywhere. Cursed, demeaned, or threatened because you have an opinion. When Lloyd and Rex stood up as if to intimidate or confront me, I told them to go for it. 3 people against 1 disabled person just trying to go somewhere. The next day, a county deputy showed up at my house saying that Jeremy and his entourage felt threatened by a pedestrian who dared to argue with his opinion. The Elk and Baileys have been denied that kind of use of the sidewalk in the past years. Why not the winery? In the early 2000s, the Elk Tavern, or Bailey's, or both, had the sidewalk blocked, maybe for Bovill days. Pam Cromer stepped out into the street to go from one bar to the other, slipped on loose gravel and a pothole and twisted her ankle. Some said she was drunk and that it was her own fault, but that didn't matter. The city paid a $1,000 copay for her medical bill. After that, the sidewalks being blocked didn't happen again. And when it did happen, both ends of the streets were blocked to vehicles. If the Ritters don't have the money to set up a tent at the side of their building, how would they pay for being sued in a no-fault argument? I'm not the only one complaining for myself, but for others, especially the young and the elderly who feel so intimidated as they walk to City Hall or the post office. When you sit and watch a mother and a child forced to walk into the street around parked cars and signs or whatever, it doesn't reflect well on the city to have this type of business practices. There is even a city ordinance not allowing the sidewalks to be infringed upon. Thank you for your consideration and your time in this matter.
Thank you, Cliff.
2018-2, sorry, I did not bring that with me. I could forward it to you.
We probably need to look at that. Cliff,
Well, as I recall, Cliff, you're the one that approached me. And I said, and there was a lot of cussing going on both sides of the aisle. And I said that you kept wanting me to hit me. Come on and hit me. Come on and hit me. I told Cliff, I says, no, I'm not going to hit you. You need to go home. And at about that time, Tracy showed up. And then Cliff finally got in the vehicle and left.
Isn't there two sides to every story too? And
that's what I was just gonna say.
absolutely. Plus, you know, I guess there had always been a feud, and we already know that. So, I mean,
Kelly?
I'm just reading this sidewalk permit to local businesses, and my name isn't here again. It seems kind of funny that my name was thrown in on all this stuff that I wrote a letter to the city. I don't recall writing a letter to the city. You know, maybe I did, but I would like a copy of that sent to me, if possible. And I probably did say we needed the sidewalks for the little kids to go by. I have no doubt I did. But I just don't recall writing a letter to the city. I don't know why I wouldn't come to a city council meeting.
Maybe the problem has been solved because I didn't see any tables there today.
And I know I've been down there several times, and that whole sidewalk needs to be redone and widened. It's terrible, even if there wasn't a table
It
and
is
chair
a
out there.
bad
It's awful.
sidewalk.
Steve goes down the road. And
I've walked down the sidewalk before and
I've been
bad
sitting,
before you get to
I've
it.
sat at the table and chairs, and I've been there a lot of times when Jeremy's made sure there's been enough room for people to walk by, so.
And also the city's water thing in the middle of the sidewalk is a tripping hazard.
Oh, it's a very dangerous sidewalk, all the way down for everybody.
Probably should be thanking Jeremy for
Got
having the table over the top of it to protect people from falling on that.
Well, we've got to do something with that
Ginger?
sidewalk.
The American Disabilities Association says your sidewalks have to be 36 inches across, and if there is an obstruction in the way.
How wide did you say
have
across?
32 to,
inches.
it's actually 32 and 36.
Okay, but you have to have some
It's the
obstruction out to the
okay.
end of the curb. You still have
It's
to
in
have
this,
that
isn't it?
amount of space if you put something out there and it isn't there. And I quit going down there because I can't walk down into the street and around. It's just, it's hard. I got compound fractures in my spine. I mean, I just don't do it. I go the other way.
The sidewalk itself is not ADA compliant.
No.
Right.
I would
It's
guarantee.
not.
Yes, it
terrible.
is. It's over 56 inches wide. The 36-inch issue comes in and is feasible under ADA laws only if every 90 feet there's enough room for two wheelchairs to pass.
But the way
If there's
it's,
not that,
The way it's built, I guarantee you, it's not
the
ADA.
way it's broke up, it can't be.
Okay. Anyways,
So-
Sheriff looked at it
are
and
we
said it
seeing?
wasn't.
Can we
I
get
don't know.
stick to the point and get this over with?
Okay, yes, Cliff. Then, Will.
I
may
move
I add
motion-
something? Being as there is two sides to
I
it.
move motion that we just.
I was stopped
We
by
have
Mr.
another-
Ritter. I never said a word to anybody. He came up behind me and stopped me. I'm gonna speak.
Maybe this is a problem
No,
for the
it's-
sheriff's office.
It's already been taken up with the sheriff's office.
It's,
That's something. Two
I don't
sides
think
of
it's
the story.
anything that the city council can do anything about.
Okay. So you're calling the city right here, council is calling that not a sidewalk then? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think it's a safe sidewalk. I've
I
walked the
didn't
post
say
office
safe,
several
it's
times.
either a sidewalk or it isn't.
It's a
That's the
sidewalk
law.
to me.
It's a sidewalk.
It's a sidewalk, and if we're gonna push the ADA issue and stuff, that's the responsibility of the property owners fixing up the sidewalk. If I recall, there is a sidewalk ordinance on that I had heard about 37 years ago.
That's the way I remember it too. is
Yeah,
when
but
we
it
first
is the
moved to town.
business owner's responsibility and the property owners, cause we own property over there too, that we would be responsible to make sure it's wide enough.
And smooth enough.
I don't care if it's smooth, it just needs to be, well, this.
And to address, excuse me, to address what you're talking about under Idaho law, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna refresh you on that. I won't read the whole thing about it, but what you said is true. But in paragraph 3, Title 18, Chapter 39, it shall constitute a misdemeanor for any person to willfully throw, deposit, or place, or to lose, or willfully leave upon, or along the side of any highway or street used by the public. Excuse me. The public to travel any debris, substance, object, or material that impedes traffic or creates a hazard, a hazardous driving condition, and is punishable by a fine not exceeding $2,500. And his sign that's in the road every single day is illegal. And that was the one thing I was trying to get through
You
to
also
him.
tried to take it and back it off.
No, I picked it up and I said, what if I put this sign just like this? I never move my
He was
feet.
taking it down to.
And no,
the street.
I said, if I put this out on the highway, what would happen? The sheriff would come there and write somebody a citation. His street is no different. I guess tomorrow I'll drive by it. If it's out there, I'll drive through it. And I'll send you a bill for the damage to my car.
But you're the one that drove through it, so that's your problem.
There's signage everywhere. You go down.
There's not signs in the
There's
street.
signs
Yeah.
in Deary, there's signs in, you're right. But the one thing is I think the referencing, I mean, if we wanna talk about signage or him having a bench there, I mean, really, I mean, we all wanna get together as a community and stick together as a community, not fight and not argue. And we need to get this bitterness and bickerness out of here.
That is
because
my
it's-
hope for the city, that we can all get along.
Right?
And there's been too many bad things happen the last couple of years that it's caused a lot of problems for the city.
I moved a motion that we deny Cliff Christie's complaint.
Is there a second to that?
That we're denying it.
Denying Cliff's complaint?
Second
There has been a motion made and seconded that we deny Cliff's complaint. Sheila?
If you're gonna clear the sidewalks, clear them all over town. I requested when Sam was mayor that somebody tag that pickup down by the library that's full of garbage halfway on the sidewalk, no license, no nothing, been sitting there for a year and nothing got done. That car that Leanne's talking about, of Travis Smith's up by Darrell Odie's, is legally sitting on the sidewalk. It could be tagged and pulled off. So if you're gonna go after one, you better go after them all.
The whole place?
Yes.
Down here, right down the corner.
So, we'll call.
Where one was down the right.
So basically what
What
you're
is,
saying is
what
that
are we
whole,
denying?
A motion has been made and seconded that we deny Cliff's request. Complaint.
His complaint, that no one should be questioned as to why they are walking anywhere? Is that the complaint we're?
I think the complaint, his resolution on that is to deny, to have a part, or permit to have any table and benches out on the sidewalk, and to have Rex to say sorry for him saying swear words, which, I'm not sure, there's two sides to every story, and for him to say that, and then, you know, Rex Cromer coming back and saying the other issue, I mean, that's more of a civil issue versus council issue, I would think.
Well, if Rex said swear words, he's not the only council member that's ever said swear words. I remember
And he's not
a
in the
meeting
council.
here one time.
Right, and he's not in the council swearing,
No, he's not.
and everybody has the right to speak when they're
At a council meeting.
About out of a council meeting, right?
I would say so. It's not the same as what went on that one night here.
I'd like to say something about the sidewalk myself.
Ms. Leanne?
It doesn't make any difference whether the table, chairs, or benches or anything is on the sidewalk. The sidewalk you cannot walk on, and that's not Jeremy's fault.
No, it's the
That
bad
sidewalk
sidewalk.
has been there for many years. It was put in by Lloyd. It was never put in correctly. It has dips and dives in it, and anybody'd be crazy to wanna walk down it in the first place.
And it starts clear up here at the
We're at the
corner.
corner, it's a mess, and it isn't Jeremy's fault. That was there when he bought the place.
And you know, Lisa Beyer, I was talking to Lisa Beyer before she was elected in the city council. She's like, you know, there's people that walk on the streets all over town. I mean,
Always.
there's no sidewalks all over town. And now we're picking on this little sidewalk here and making a big nuisance out of it.
It's a nuisance itself without anything on it. I mean, and that's not his fault.
Everybody walks on the streets anyways, everywhere else. I mean, why do we have an issue with that little section?
We've
It
got
just
two
doesn't
businesses
make
in town,
sense.
we better be happy that we've
Because
got
everybody
them.
walks past there to get
Get on.
their mail.
Yes, and most of them walk on the street because they want to, because the sidewalk is so horrible to walk on.
And that water hookup in the middle of the street is a real tripping hazard. Somebody could fall on that if it wasn't covered
In the
up.
middle of the sidewalk.
Easily fixed.
So I think we have issues with the sidewalk that we need fixed, but at the same time, we have, things that, we need to work on, but are we going to accept that? Or-
Do we need to do a roll call vote on that?
we passed it, we first and second,
Yeah, boom.
so,
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on it. Lisa? We're doing a roll call vote, how do you vote?
I thought we dismissed it.
You got that? Rita?
For the complaint outcome is Rex Cromer be disciplined for not following ethics. Is this what we're voting on? Is that correct?
ethics as well as not allowing, the businesses to have, parking, or, sidewalk permit.
Okay, but I thought that was in, later on in the agenda.
It is.
Okay. Well, I am, I agree with Rex Cromer not being disciplined for following ethics. I have questions about the sidewalk issue, yeah, so maybe I should abstain or whatever, because I'm not gonna be 100% on that motion.
And since this is about Rex, can Rex vote on it?
I vote that we, dismiss. Because I don't know, it's two side stories, I don't know if Rex was really swearing or up in his face, I don't know if he was, I mean, everybody has histories too, so I'm dismissing it because it's more of a civil matter, not a council issue or city
Yes,
issue.
it is. Okay, can I vote on it then since?
You guys evidently can't hear right, read right. That's the issue. Tell me where you can get around that sidewalk.
I've been through there,
That picture, can you get through there?
and my butt's bigger than yours.
I've been through there, I mean.
Bring that
now
picture right there.
it's blocked.
How about the car that's parked on the sidewalk? You gotta start, if you're gonna do one, you gotta do them all. You can't pick on one person.
The sidewalks need cleaned up all over town. Is what you're saying, right?
If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it all.
So we're saying that Lisa Byer, since Rex Cromer's out of there, Lisa and myself said to dismiss it. Aren't you the deciding factor? Because it's tied, wouldn't it be? It would be a tie.
So I just abstain.
He abstained on sheets. It's either way, so there's no tie.
So do we dismiss it, or do we have to leave it open? How do we dismiss this, or not
Yeah.
dismiss this?
2-1,
Okay, so,
right?
Yeah.
Right?
so we're gonna get rid of it.
I guess it, we've got 2-1, Tracy says they can pass.
Okay.
My understanding.
Now I've lost my agenda again. We're down to, Which one?
No, I haven't had anybody apply for the maintenance position.
Okay. That takes care of all the new business, so the old business we're down to now. Update on maintenance position, you have had no applications.
No,
Is the ad still running in the paper?
I think it expired, today, Friday.
Do we have signs up around town?
No, not really.
I heard that there's, well, I think Dane wants to still apply, but he says that the position and all the responsibilities are not concise